What's up, people? Me, Jeremy, at the Utopians bus again, bringing you another quick update. I think I'm going to try to show you in time-lapse form how I create end grain, plywood, countertop surfaces, tables, butcher blocks, you name it. You can get really creative doing this, but it's time-consuming, so bear with me, and hopefully you'll like the end result. So will I. Thanks. Step number 1. Cut your wood to the proper thickness that you want your surface. This was excess stuff and it turned out to be swelled on the end because I left it outside like an idiot. But for this table I'm making, it's going to be 32 by 32. It's giving me a little extra in case I need to cut it down after it's finished, which is no problem because I just treat it like a piece of stock at that point. So I'm going to go on a little chop saw, miter saw, and cut these down to 32-inch lengths. Basically, these are 3/4 inch chunks, 3/4 plywood. When I squeeze it together, it's about 30 and a little more inches, about 31 inches. So that's fine, because I'll probably end up cutting it down to 30 anyway. And not sure about the width. This is going to be a folding table. That basically doubles as a booth, and we'll be able to fold down and then turn our booth into a small sitting area, probably for our dogs. So anyway, that's part 1. Part 2, I don't want a freaking butcher block. I already made one in the last video. You can check that out. That's for the vanity, for bathroom vanity, but this is 1 3/4 inches, so I definitely don't want a table that's super heavy, because that's a heavy chunk of wood once you put it all together. So the next step is to come over here on the table saw and set that up. Basically, I've got these clamps on here on both sides, very tight, because this a lot of these table saws, this is an old one that I got used from Facebook Marketplace, and it just doesn't stay. So I'll loosen that up. The other side, this one goes on that way, and that just keeps that guide rail nice and stable there. So let me use 2 hands, try to get this set up nicely, and I'm going to probably do, I'd say a 1 inch, yeah, about that thick. So yeah, about a 1 inch table. It's going to be heavy duty and not warp or anything once it's in place. So yeah, check out this part 2, ripping down these pieces to actually go even smaller, about 1 inch. So yeah, let me set that up and check it out. Yep, so now I'm extra dusty, which is cool. I got 2 piles of wood here now, ripped all those down. These are about 15/16 of an inch in thickness as far as tabletop goes, so I think that'll work well. And this is the even thinner, probably about a 1/2 inch. So I can make use out of all that. But first things first, let's work on this table. So first things first, I laid down this metal from the walls from the bus because I'm going to be using wood glue, and wood glue has a little bit of a hard time sticking to metal. It will still be tacky when you pull it up. So basically I found a pretty damn straight spot on this floor. Probably slide it over a little bit just to keep it on this one sheet of plywood. Get it in between those seams. But basically you want it as flat as possible. Then I just use these little end pieces to, you know, get it butted up together. Excuse me for a second. Always an interruption. So like I was saying, I use these little end pieces just to get the look of it going. And all of these have been turned up on their edge. And then at this point, you kind of want to take a look at it, because once it's glued and nailed together, that's it. So like this piece over here, I'll flip that over because although that knot is pretty, it's not the best. So I'll just, you know, design this the way I think it looks great. Any little defects from the saw can get turned around and put on the bottom side. All of this is going to get sanded down heavily anyway. But these little burn mark type of pieces, I'm not real interested in getting too dark. If I want to, I can stain it dark. Yeah, that knot is not going to work, so you can switch them up, you can turn them around, so you can get good patterns on. You know, it's kind of unique. Maybe where you don't see anything, put a little bit of that dark detail in there. Yeah, that's nice. I think that's pretty good. One more piece maybe. Yeah. So, after you've got your little look going and the way that you want all your grain, you can, little things like that, not a big deal. That just takes a little wood filler after it's put together. Same thing here. Let me see if I can flip that one over. Yeah, it's a knot that goes all the way through, so I'll just leave it and fill it. It's a lot of wood filler, a lot of extra work, but necessary evil. So after you get your little design the way that you want it, give or take, it's a day. You call it a day and you move forward with your work. So after that's done, the next steps will be to obviously, make sure your edges are nice and put together. But basically this is going to get put together 2 pieces at a time. And you basically take the first 2, paint on, brush on is what I'm going to use, a little brush. Brush on a little wood glue to that first piece. Match up your ends over here using your finger or flat surface. Stick them together and brad nail away. Bing, 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 bing. Because this is a table, I can afford to put extra brad nails in it because I'm not going to be cutting through it unless it's just to trim it down, and brad nails can get trimmed with any standard saw. So let me move forward with step 3, putting this thing together. Okay, so it's all glued together and brad nailed together, and I've got these clamps on there. They're not too tight. I made the mistake last time. I'll show you in a second what I mean by mistake, but it's not a big deal. So I mean, if you look there, it's a little wavy, but that's the underside of it. Excuse me. So yeah, that's the underside. Not a big deal. And all of that's going to get sanded anyway, all the way around. It's a whole lot of sanding. I don't know if you were able to notice in the time-lapse video, but when I put these together, I basically just butt it up against my finger and make it flush sealing. So this is going to be my finished side on the top. I've got 3 clamps on there. Not very tight, of course, because that'll end up bowing it. I put these little loose pieces of wood on the end just to hold it in place. And I'm just going to let that dry overnight. Or I might piddle around some more and then let it set up here. Let's see what the jug says. Must be clean and dry, joints that fit tightly, heavy spread of glued surface and clamp for a minimum of 30 minutes. Do not stress joints for 24 hours. Okay, so I'm going to call it a day, but that's basically a tabletop that's going to fit over here somewhere. I'll have it hinging. I'll probably put some supports underneath it just so it doesn't flex at all in the future. But this is what I did a couple days ago, and you may have seen it already. This is a butcher block that I did the same way. That's the bad side, obviously. There's a lot of painted wood, but that can be made into a good side as long as I sand the heck out of it. But you'll see little dots and stuff there. I didn't even bother filling those in. I probably will at some point, so bugs don't find a home or something in there. But basically, that's the finished look, minus stain and polyurethane and whatever else you want to put on there. But if you look at what I'm talking about, you see this gap over here on the right side. It's not completely straight, and that's because I clamped it too hard. So when it dries, it's dry. But that's alright, because this is going to be probably a countertop, or it might even be a butcher block for us, and it's not a major big deal. It wobbles a little bit, but as a countertop it'll be just fine. Once I brace it all down, it might even straighten it out a little bit. I'm going to leave it in the bus, and maybe this heat will help it slow back to place. But anyway, that's kind of what I'm going for here, with the essential look of all the cabinetry. Maybe not everything, but at least the countertops and surface areas are going to be done this way, and then accents throughout, depending on how quickly I get burnt out on this process. But yeah, that's sanded. It's nice and smooth, durable. That's about 1 3/4 inches right there. The one I did today is about 1 inch. So that'll be good for a tabletop, not too heavy and manageable. And yeah, that's the way we do it here at the Utopians bus. Thinking outside the box and trying to save money where we can, but not skimp on quality. So I hope you enjoyed this little DIY tutorial on how I do end grain plywood. I don't have a wood shop, so kind of limited to space and everything, but you get the idea. Works well, and I love the way it looks. And if you decide to do this in your conversion, let us know. I'd love to know that we influenced somebody else to do something DIY. So until the next update, thanks for watching, and as always,